the volume.
Turn up the volume.
You've arrived at the destination for all things Kentucky. This is the Bleed Blue Network Podcast.
What's going on, Big Blue Nation? Welcome to another episode of the Bleed Blue Daily Show. I think we're going to have to move these Monday ones back like 30 minutes because of the Stoops press conference.
Yeah.
Well, I guess maybe only for another 2 weeks, right? Hopefully 3. Hopefully we get a bowl game. I don't even care that I'm probably going to keep eating my food because I haven't eaten lunch and I'm really hungry. I'm Paul, though, joined by Jaden. Usually, as always, it's Jaden now. We're back. We've had a very good weekend of college or UK athletics. The football team won. The women's team won. I cannot complain too much. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, it was an awesome weekend to be a Kentucky fan. Got to show Louisville that they suck. Got to get a win in football. All of these things are things that we enjoy as people, as part of our daily lives. So I'll take that weekend over most of the weekends that we've been having recently. The whole week, really. The whole week's been a lot of fun.
I was very impressed with the women's team, the basketball team. I was there. I covered it. The kind of the sheer grit and determination that they showed, not playing particularly well, I think was impressive. This is my last bite, by the way. So
they still aren't shooting the best, which is, I guess, a strange thing to say is encouraging, but they looked good against a good team, and they still haven't had games where they've shot well. Is it a sign that maybe they're not a good shooting team? I guess we'll find out. You would have thought they would be a good shooting team, so to me, it's more of they still have room to grow than that. But yes, they obviously looked awesome. Outside of that, picked up a big win, and I mean, really, you were there, so you can talk more. They kind of just played the starters.
Yeah, I mean, the starters went a significant part of that game, especially through overtime. That was really impressive.
Starters had 45, 38, 42, 43, 43 minutes. 12 total bench minutes.
Yeah, 12 total. Well, we're going to talk more about that in a minute. We have a very special guest that we're about to bring in. We have Clay Pergram. He's the coach for the UK men's hockey team. And obviously there's been some big news coming out of there. So, Clay, welcome to the show, and happy to have you on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
What'd you say, Jaden?
Is this by design, or is his face just not showing up for...
Oh, there he is. He's there. I don't know why he just clicked out. I just don't think he's on video. It's not a big deal.
Oh, okay. I was just making sure that was what we were wanting.
Yeah, Clay,
Sorry,
you still with us? Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're good. Well, welcome to the show. Appreciate you jumping on. Obviously, the big news, you guys are moving from a club team to a Division I team, and just kind of talk to us about what that process looks like from, you guys' perspective and building a program, and kind of what all goes into that for that status to be achieved.
Yeah, well, we are currently ACHA Men's Division II. We will be making the jump to ACHA Men's Division I, which is the highest level of collegiate hockey that you can play other than non-varsity, right? Other than your Division III, NCAA, and your Division I, which in total there's about 80 teams there, and you're seeing some movement. There's some big changes within hockey that we haven't really had in the last 40 years, which is kind of the reason for our move. But really, it's kind of been a culmination of what's happening in the landscape and what we've done here the last 8 years, steadily increasing our talent and our standard of play. So kind of a mix of both has landed us into that ACHA Division I realm now.
What's something that you guys anticipate is going to be, kind of one of the biggest differences for your program now with that jump?
Yeah, so you play schools that are maybe fully funded, right? You look at a Liberty University, and they got I think a $15 million rink there on campus. All their games are on ESPN Plus, so you have a whole lot wider landscape that you can see, right? You're not on smaller platforms; you're on the ESPN Plus platform. And then when you start looking at players, it's just a different level of talent, right? Hockey's different than any other sport. After you get through your youth, your U18 levels, guys usually go and play juniors, which is 3 years removed in most cases from high school. So they come in as 21-year-old players. We have gotten the last near decade tier 3 players, which is good hockey. But what will happen as we move into the Division 1 level, and you see some of the Canadian Hockey League players start to come into the NCAA, you'll start to see a shift down. So in turn, you'll see tier 2 players here more often, and you might have an odd chance of seeing a tier 1 player come in the door here shortly.
Talking about kind of like facilities and stuff, are you guys, talking about potentially, or is there planning of you guys having, more of an on-campus arena in the distant future or not too distant future?
That's a great question. We've had conversations, I'd say, in the last probably 2-3 years with a couple potential donors. None of those potential donors have confirmed anything, but those conversations have existed. So I think that's what we're really hoping for, unless you see the SEC as a whole go NCAA, which I still think that would be some time out. But Georgia's doing a good job leading the charge in that aspect. But we're still being very hopeful for a donor. I think getting to that ACHA men's Division 1 will allow a higher frequency of people being able to see us, right? Like I mentioned on that ESPN Plus, you get a whole different viewership than you do on these smaller platforms that we've existed on the last 10 years.
And also, like, I know, like, I'm a huge hockey fan. Like, but that is, the people that know me know that hockey is probably, well, it also helps that my team's really good now. I was at Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals last year in the Stanley Cup. I went to games 1, 5, and 7 in Florida. Grew up in South Florida, so I'm a huge Panthers fan. Seen hockey progress, but I know like some people, maybe like me, who have kids, and look, it's good. It's big for the development of the game too, right? In the area, right? It's more exposure. Kids want to play when they start seeing these things. What does that look like now for move? Is their games going to start moving away from, the typical kind of midnight start time? Or are you guys going to more traditional schedules?
No, that's a great question. We want to get out of that midnight slot. Now, the club's been there since '84, so, and it's done well. That's where most of our support comes from. But we would like to have a more prime time slot where we could have more family-esque people come out. We have our players that go out and do the learn to play once a week every Monday with the youth that are starting to learn. That's with the Nashville Predators program. But yeah, you just can't get families out to midnight games. As cool as an environment as it is, we'd like to, be able to offer it to other fans.
Like, are you thinking about trying to, have the occasional one that's kind of, almost like Kentucky fans are hoping that the men's team plays at Memorial, right? Like that kind of a special game. Look, my kid's my son's almost 5 and he loves hockey, and it'd be great to be able to kind of take him out. But a 5-year-old staying up till like 2:30 or 3 in the morning is not ideal in my life right now.
No, and it's tough when you have 20 of those home games, right? It's tough on the students. It's tough on the fan. It's tough on everyone. So we understand that, but yes, that is the goal moving forward, is that we come out of that. Yes, we will have the occasional midnight still, but we want to get to more earlier time slot, so to say.
Have you guys talked about potentially, being able to utilize like a Rupp Arena potentially? Because we know that it has the capability to have ice and things like that. Is that something you guys have talked about for maybe at least a one-off type game moving forward?
Absolutely. When we first came in 2017-18, that was one of my first calls, was down to Rupp, is let's get a Louisville, Kentucky game going, right? What I was met with at that time was they don't have the capability to make ice. So my question was, well, how do you do Disney on ice?
Exactly.
I learned at that time that Disney makes their own ice everywhere they go.
Okay.
So we've been down that route. It's not possible right now. They used to have the system when we had the AHL and the ECHL teams, but I guess that no longer exists at Rupp.
And can you talk about like what the difference is between where you guys are going to now and then, teams where Michigan and Boston College, Ohio State, where they go to the Frozen Four? What's the difference between where you guys are and where those teams are at?
Okay, yeah. So I guess the layman's way to put that is when we go back and look at that tier 3, tier 2, tier 1 in the junior aspect, those high-end Boston College NCAA 1 teams that are making the Final Four, they're drawing a lot of their kids from the USNDP, the United States National Developmental Program. They're drawing majority of their kids from tier 1 USHL or tier 1 OHL, which is the Ontario Hockey League. So
Yep.
it's that is the gap that exists, right? It's that between that tier 1 and tier 2 level. I guess that's the easiest way to put it. But then you get into NCAA can only have 26 players. ACHA can have more. There's differences within I guess the way that you can format your team. But in terms of just talent alone, it's really just looking at those tier 1 players compared to where we've been the last 10 years as the tier 3 player. So kind of a 2-step gap, so to say there. But moving to the ACHA 1, it will close our gap to getting those players. And then it also puts us in those positions where you've seen like a Penn State that graduated out of the ACHA and moved to NCAA. And Arizona State, the most recent Lindenwood, who we're going to go down and play Lindenwood in about a week, but they were the most recent to graduate out of the ACHA into the NCAA. Moving to that ACHA 1 puts us more into that position where we can try to take our next steps.
And is that also where you guys can attract bigger, more marquee matchups for you guys?
So to say, I would say there's maybe some smaller brands within the ACHA M1 compared to M2, but like Louisville's moving up, NC State's moving up, and North Carolina are all moving up, who are familiar faces. But we'll now be in a conference with Alabama, which we haven't seen in quite some time. The hope is that there is an SEC conference that is built out. We are under the ACC umbrella for now. But Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, some other folks have been in the talks about moving up to D1. So as far as for ACHA brand games, you can look at Liberty, that's always a top 5 team at Division 1. You can look at Adrian. UNLV has a fantastic team. And then you want to maybe start looking into some of the North Dakotas, Jamestown, Minot. But it'll be a whole new, I guess, classification of teams that we haven't been able to play that might not exist at D2 and only exist at D1.
I think it's really interesting. I guess if we were gonna dumb it down for like the non-hockey people, it's the difference between, would you say, like FBS and FCS?
Yeah, somewhat. I would say,
if you're trying to really just dumb it down simplistically for the casual fan that doesn't necessarily follow hockey at all, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I would say that's probably the easiest.
Not necessarily in terms of talent, skill, and all that.
Right, because you see like some of the ACHA Division 1 teams play the Division 3 teams of the NCAA, and those ACHA teams, come out on top. You saw, I think it was Liberty. They played Long Island when Long Island came about 2 or 3 years ago as an NCAA 1, and it was a pretty close game. I think it was a 2 or 3 goal game, but yes, for simple terms, I think that would probably be best.
Yeah, Coach. Does the jump allow for any more like funding for special events or new things for the program that we haven't seen the last couple of years?
Not directly from the school, so we're completely self-funded at the hockey team. We rely on our fans for support, and our players have a player due. So that's where majority of our funding comes from. Now, I hope to remove some of those player dues because that's going to be a recruiting point, right? There's going to be teams out there that can offer the free to play, and we need to get to a point like that where we can offer it and we can be competitive for those high end recruits.
Does that come, you think, also with having more of an on campus? I mean, for those people who don't know, last year, in a division that you are now, an NHL hockey team played in their venue last season. So when we're talking about venues and things like that, it's not that we're talking about not nice venues and not like state of the art venues. Where does that gap really kind of start to close from that perspective? And is that really all start with something that's more on campus and more of a home for you all?
That would be a game changer. Kentucky's been a big name in club hockey for multiple years because of the fans, right? If you're looking at the fan perspective alone, we are supported as much as like some D3 and even some D1 NCAA teams when you really look at the numbers in terms of attendance. So if we were able to get something on campus, I think it could take Kentucky hockey to an extreme level. But I don't know what it takes to get there, right? I don't know if that's the university coming in and saying, hey, we're going to come in and go NCAA, or if that's them wanting to support heavily in an ACHA. Again, I think when it comes down to it, I think the SEC might have to look at it as a whole, opposed to one team doing it and the others not.
But it'd be really funny if the SEC became a powerhouse in hockey too. It'd just be a big fat middle finger to the entire country. Yep, we got everything else. Let's do this now.
Yeah, just
but I mean, look,
5,000 feet arenas, and you fill them out every time, and you'd be crushing the Northeast.
Oh yeah, but like also like the thing is too, and this is the interesting thing in hockey, and I know you know this. The southern warm climate teams are the teams in the last 5-6 years that have really been making a difference. It's a completely different shift from traditional cold weather markets, cold weather areas. Now you haven't seen that as much on the college ranks because you have your traditional powers right in the Northeast, in the Midwest, in the upper north, Minnesota, Duluth, those types of places. But you're seeing a trend in the pro ranks, right? Florida, Tampa, Vegas, even Nashville being it's a shift in, I think, where you're seeing both atmosphere and kind of an acceptance to it. And I feel like if that was something the SEC decided to go to, you could really see that momentum pick up, because also Kentucky, we're kind of in an interesting spot, right? We're sandwiched between two NHL markets. We're not kind of all the way north, but we're not all the way south. And so you're going to get a good mix there. I feel like that could be a big advantage for you guys.
Absolutely. And when we did have minor pro here, Lexington supported the Thoroughblades well. But we all know Lexington's a college town. So if you can make it more than 1,000+ seat arena that we cram everyone in right now, I think, if we had a chance to play at Rupp, we could fill 5,000 in there pretty easily. I think the last time they did that was maybe 98, 99. They had a game at Rupp. So it would be something to get there. Memorial just got redone, but again, I haven't talked to anyone to know if they have the ability to make ice there.
I don't know if Memorial is big enough for hockey.
I don't think
Memorial. I was just there. I don't know if Memorial. I don't think Memorial's got. Maybe if they take the end seats away, but I think you'd be real pushing it. I think you'd be pushing it in Memorial for a hockey rink.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think it would be a game changer. But Georgia is the only team in the SEC right now that has a rink on campus. So they've been moving the needle quite a bit the last 10 years. They've got it's their second rink on campus, actually. They had one in a ballroom, and then they just got a new standalone.
Could it also be something where it's like a conjunction with the city? I'm sure you know some of this stuff, but the Panthers opened the War Memorial down in Fort Lauderdale, where their practice facility, but also, youth hockey's there. They have open skates, things like that. They have seating. It's a beautiful venue. Is there something where it's a potential, not necessarily on campus, but maybe where it's a collaboration between a home for you guys and just, a nicer, newer venue for Lexington to offer, youth hockey, skating, events, things like that? That could be, also something that would be a game changer for you guys.
Yeah.
Kind of like Rupp. I mean, Kentucky doesn't own Rupp, right?
Right. They don't. I want to say that I've heard in the background that someone has tried to open rinks here before, and it just has never got passed through. I don't know if there's something that the city would want to do. I think, like I said, I think they tried to get one in Hamburg maybe about 15 years ago, and it just never got passed through. If you're familiar with the Hamburg area here in Lexington.
Yeah. It's a lot of stuff going out there now.
There's a lot of stuff, and it's far from campus, but, you know, we've had the conversations with the donors. Nothing's been confirmed. Will it be confirmed? I'm not certain. But I think moving to that ACHA Division I market will allow us just more viewership, and then hopefully someone sees us and wants to give us an opportunity. But that would be incredible. But yeah, nothing in the plans of that right now.
What do you guys do? And obviously, people like us, I think would love to, be more involved with you guys to help get the word out more. Obviously, that's the thing you guys need, right? Like getting publicity out there, getting maybe non-traditional hockey people involved. But also is there marquee matchups where there's, maybe some bigger names that you guys are trying to potentially get on the schedule where you could go and like hang that hat on? And look, even if you were to play and not necessarily win, it still gets you on the map because you played this team or that team that has, kind of a decorated history and maybe a level above you guys.
Yeah, hopefully we have some of that coming to our schedule as we move to ACHA M1, right? We had a series earlier this year against Liberty, which is a highly thought of team, probably one of the next ones from the ACHA to make that jump to NCAA. And we swept our series down there, so that's huge for us. But going forward, in terms of like big matchups that I'm looking at on the docket about a year out right now, we're looking to do an outdoor game with Louisville, and I think that's about 70-80% confirmed to be
an outdoor game. Where would that be?
It would be at the Louisville Bats outdoor stadium in Louisville. The baseball.
Jaden might write me down for a ticket there, Coach.
We're gonna want to be at that.
And that is, so we're looking at that, I want to say January, maybe 9 or 10 of next year. Not like,
you're talking about sorry. Like 2 months.
No, of 26.
Okay. So I was about to be like, oh, that's huge though. I mean, that would be a massive, has college played outdoor before?
Yeah, 2 years ago, NC State and UNC did one down at they did it at Finley. They called it Frozen Finley, and I think they got like nearly 75K people there. You had, I think maybe Charlotte and App State do an outdoor game last year as well. So yeah, you've been seeing it more commonly in the last probably 3 to 4 years within the ACHA itself.
So I've got to ask the question, is there a chance you get a Kroger Field hockey game?
I haven't talked to anyone at Kroger Field. The communication that we've had here in Lexington has been with the Legends. Same kind of idea that we just pitch with the Bats. It would be there at their facility, right? And then a rink would go up for about a month's time. But that's still some conversations need to be had about that. They wanted to do a youth tournament or maybe bring in a couple different college teams for that. But conversation's still open there. But that's as the biggest we've looked at in Lexington so far, I guess.
I mean, I feel like we should definitely start a petition for getting a game in Kroger
I'm going to
Field.
have series in Louisville with Bats and Legends Stadium. I mean, I'll be at both.
That would be fun. It'd be fun. But boy, how crazy. I mean, could you imagine what like hockey would look like in Kroger Field? How badass that would be.
We need those lights.
Clay, I'm just telling you, like now that this is on the radar, I don't know. You just threw like, it's like a dog finding a bone. I might just have to start pestering everybody I talk to about this. I mean, look, if you look at it,
we'll do it.
No one's using Kroger Field in January. I mean, it's not like we're using it. I'm sure the revenue would be really fun from the concession stands and stuff you could get. I mean, what would we could get? What if you, I guess it's a little hard. I mean, I guess you could put some temporary seating on the floor, but I guess you wouldn't do that. So you'd get 60,000. I bet that would be crazy.
That would be insane.
I'm here for it. Now, like maybe it's one of those years we actually get like snow, and I just have some snow on the turf. That would be pretty you get the blue lights and everything when you score a goal. Man,
Might have to push it to February if we're looking for snow, but that would be awesome.
I mean, I'm here for it. I mean, those are I didn't even realize hockey had started doing that, because I know that they're really trying to figure out a way to do it in like Florida, right? Like that's the thing I know that they've been talking about with like Tampa and the Panthers are playing like the Stadium Series. They're trying to find a way to get it more into the South. I think Nashville's the farthest south they've got it so far.
Yeah, they did that maybe 2 or 3 years ago in Nashville.
Yeah, Tampa. It was Tampa and the Predators. I know they're trying to do it in Florida, which they can probably do it in the where the Marlins play, because they have a dome. Because you cannot do ice in Florida any time of the year outside, because that would be a sloshy mess. But like,
yeah, that's the tricky, is having a generator big enough to keep everything.
When you're talking about like a matchup like that, are you looking at like that would be fun to play a Louisville, or if you guys had that opportunity, is that where you try and tempt maybe like a traditional Power to come down and be like, hey, we can play in front of 60,000? Would that be the selling point for you guys, or would you like to keep it kind of more a traditional rival?
I think for what we're in right now, it would make the most sense to stay with a traditional rival within the ACHA M1 realm. We have to, you have to play within so many games, right? So the season's pretty tight where the guys might have time off. So it's hard to get an exhibition in more than maybe once in September, so you can hit the games you need to make it into the national or the regional tournaments.
Right. Well, you guys still got several games left on the schedule. Kind of talk to us a little bit about, the upcoming games you guys have and what you're really excited about as you guys close out the season.
Yeah. Well, guys are starting to come together well. It's just getting a little bit more true to our approach. So big games coming up this weekend again.
You're not allowed to
losing?
know they play well.
Huh?
The boys will come back and play Ohio State.
You cut out. You cut out right there in the beginning. So if you want to backtrack a little bit, you cut out right when you said who you're playing this weekend.
Sorry. Yeah. So we have Lindenwood this weekend. They're number 1 in the Central and number 1 in the country as of rankings getting put out last week. So huge matchup there. Sorry, what was it?
Ranking schmankings. Who needs them?
Ranking schmankings. That's right. So that's a big one. And then we'll have a week off, and then we'll go down, or then we'll come back to Lexington and have Ohio State, which is always a fun weekend. It always draws well with the crowd. And then the boys have finals, and then winter break comes about, right? Then they get a 4-week break. We'll return, and we'll have Dayton for some conference games. And then we'll have Louisville for a home and an away. That will finish out the Bourbon Barrel, the series for the Bourbon Barrel. We play a best of 3 with Louisville every year, and the winner, takes the Bourbon Barrel home with them. We've won back-to-back years, so hoping to keep it for a third year this year. After that, we'll see Ohio University, which that's a team that always gives us fits, and they're tough to play against. And then we'll have Michigan to kind of round it all out. So conference games really to round it out, other than Lindenwood. Excited to go to Lindenwood. They're a perennial top team, so want to go down there and test ourselves and see where we are as we get ready to make the final push, in January and February, and get ready for the end of the year tournaments.
Wow, it sounds like there's a lot of exciting times for you guys ahead, and especially where you guys get to get on ESPN Plus. That'll definitely be fun, because I can add something to my weeknights that is not bluey and frozen for the 600th time. So I'll definitely be looking forward to that. What can people do if they want to get involved, or help you guys out, or just kind of overall with the program to keep pushing it forward? How can the Big Blue Nation get more involved?
Yeah, you can follow us on all of our socials. It's Kentucky Hockey Club. You can go to our website, kentuckyhockey.com. We're running a raffle right now. If you're wanting to come to a Louisville game, those are hard tickets to get, but you can get tickets through a raffle that gets you straight into the door. There's also a couple raffles that might incorporate a stick and posters signed by the boys, and then we have another raffle going within all of that that is for jerseys. So if you don't have, the 100 to get in, I think we're offering the raffle for like $10 right now. So we have those all open. But beyond that, support us on the socials. Word of mouth always is great. Get on our website, learn a little bit more about us. We do stream all of our games. We got our complete team history on our website, but we do stream all of our games. They are at midnight, but we do that on blackdoghockey.com. You can catch all of our games there. And if we're on the road, usually the away team has a YouTube stream going that you can catch for free. But any type of that support, if you can't make it out to the midnight game, socials is the best way to kind of carry our presence around right now.
Well, that's something that I think everybody needs to do. We need to find a way to get out to some games and cover it for you guys too. So that way, we'll make Jaden stay up late. Come
out. They're fun. They're fun. They're late.
If I didn't have three kids under 5, I'd probably be more able to go and stuff. But that prohibits a lot of life for me.
I believe that. I'm blessed. I got 2 under 5, and my wife still allows me to do this crazy stuff at midnight. So very lucky with that.
Yeah, they don't go to a lot of games, do they?
They've made it to 2 so far, and both of them have not been at midnight. The last couple of years, we've done a couple at like 7 p.m., and those are the ones that the kids come out to.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely going to be fun, especially as you guys progress and there's more opportunity. Also, the big thing too, it's great with the students, but also being able to get the community, more involved and coming to games. And, ultimately that's how you grow. We build with students, you get the community involved and really develop that good traction. And I think that's something that would be, a really big next step. I think if you guys have some of those games that are a little early, I definitely think that you guys are going to get that support. I don't remember what game I went to. Like I have been to a game. Maybe it was against Louisville, but it was a long time ago. I'm old, so I don't know the last time that happened. But yeah, Clay, what is before we let you go, is there anything else you want to kind of leave us with?
No, nothing else I want to leave you with. I appreciate you all having me on and letting us talk about the club.
Yeah, anytime, man. Anytime something's going on with you guys, big wins, tournaments, anything you guys are getting into coming up, definitely you always have an invite and open space here, and we'll try and get some people. I know you guys work pretty closely with someone that's near and dear on our team now, so I'm pretty sure we can try and get some more coverage out there for you guys.
We would love to have you all.
Yep. Appreciate it, Clay.
Thanks,
we'll
y'all.
talk to you soon.
Cats.
Yep. Go Cats. That was Kentucky hockey coach Clay Pergram. That was interesting, wasn't it?
That was a lot of fun. I'm glad that they've already looked into a lot of the ideas that we came up with and are already trying to find new ways to promote the team and get the name out there and things.
I'm glad the coaches are smarter than us. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. If the coach is smarter than us, it's not a high bar, but we always consider that to be a indicator of success. Around here, so long as the coach is doing better than us, they're on the right track.
I mean, if they're not, that's terrible because we're not very smart, as you can tell by how we pick games.
By anything I've ever said on this show.
I picked Kentucky to beat Duke. I was right. I just wasn't right on the 93 points. All right. I didn't think we could win an ugly game. Now I think we can win any game. So that's fun right there. Cool. No, we definitely need to get some people out to cover hockey. There's plenty of games left, so we should definitely try and work on making that a priority. Before the season ends. Okay. Yeah. Let's kind of shift gears a little bit. Obviously, my bad. We started late because of the Stoops press conference, but let's kind of talk there. Mark Stoops, for the first time all season, really updates the depth chart. Everybody was getting a good laugh about that in the press conference room. It's only taken 10 games going into week 11, and finally, Mincy is out for the season. He has a significant injury. He's going to miss time, so he is out. Laros is the starting punter. It doesn't say or Wilson Berry. Biggest shock in the world on that, I think. Not really. Obviously, the bigger I think ish news is Cutter Boley is now listed right behind Brock Vandegrift, not Gavin Wimsett. So that tells me a lot of if there's an injury or if Brock doesn't play well. I feel like I think Cutter's going to probably get some clock in Austin. Just a gut feeling. Unless Brock comes out and starts peeling the paint off the walls, I think you're going to see Gavin get some clock, much like you might have seen Gavin get clock, but I think they're going to give him a chance to play. That's just me. Obviously, Derek Jackson's out for the season. The interesting information on that is he has another year of eligibility. Didn't really realize that.
He has the medical record from when he tore his Achilles, like his sophomore year.
So they did ask Mark about that. Mark did not say that was something that would or wouldn't happen. He basically said that he was going to give him some time, obviously, to heal, wait till the end of the season, have a conversation. So there's a possibility Derek Jackson could come back next season.
He did say it was not in the plan up to that point, which I thought was
correct.
Which I thought was interesting. But also, an injury and a bad season can change plans.
Not a good season. You missed 4 games. Right, a lot can happen. Listen, if he would have, these are,
depending on the injury,
it'll be 5 games. Yeah, it'll miss 5 games. Yeah, the final 5. Yeah.
Depending on his injury, it'll change his draft stock. That could be the difference of being a day 2 and a day 3 pick, a day 3 and an undrafted. Like this is
correct. Yeah, and look, if he comes back next year. And if he comes back next year, he's going to be the undisputed everything, and he's going to be preseason, right? So there's a chance he could come back and have a good season. It doesn't sound like anybody else is out. It sounds like everybody else is back for the defense going into next week, which is big. Obviously, Josiah Hayes, apparently he has been practicing for the last couple of weeks. Stoop said it was really good to see him come back. For him to get reps, look good. He said the injury that he had, it's hard to trust with the power and explosiveness you need at that position, but said it was good to see him there. Obviously, he's going to add a lot of depth and size as long as he stays healthy in the last 3 games. It's big against a team like Texas, who has a pretty good offensive line. It's different when you can throw a Josiah Hayes in there when you're spotting a Deion Walker than maybe some of the younger kids that we've had to play in that spot. It's a big difference. It keeps the bruising going. He's, when he's a guy that we thought was going to be potentially one of those all SEC defensive linemen, and he was out. So Kentucky, I think for the first time all season on the front 7, outside of one guy, Darian Henry Young, I think is going to have all their pieces that we thought they would have to be able to rotate. This is a game you're going to need that,
Yeah, they needed to be healthy on the defensive line in just the worst way possible. Still playing offensive linemen, actually not even just playing, converting offensive linemen to defensive line for a couple of games, potentially making it a permanent change because of the tape is a situation that you just simply never want to be in for obvious reasons. No. But getting back a potentially all SEC starting caliber player to just eat snaps, and he's not eating snaps. He's impacting the game, but it's not even just the jump or the drop off, from the starter to him. It's the gap between who was playing and.
Well, Kendrick Gilbert was not supposed to play this year very much, right? And him getting in, and it's not saying that he's not going to be a good player. He's just not there yet, right? And so even though
he's got something, there's something there. There's something there.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not knocking the kid at all.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just
next year. Listen, Gilbert playing this year could also be a blessing in disguise next year, because that kid he needs to put on about 20 more pounds, and he's going to be a force, right? I mean, but also you look at the guy, you look at Saunders, you look at Hayes. Maybe when they came in initially, they weren't guys that you were like, oh, but now look at how they are, right? They're true blue defensive SEC players. And it's a big difference now when you have Khalil Saunders and Josiah Hayes backing up Deion Walker and Keyshawn Silver. And it also allows you to put it also now allows you to move Deion around in ways that they wanted to. Look, Deion was going to play a lot more defensive end and stuff than they had planned going into this season because but of that, that injury to Josiah Hayes, and then obviously some of the other, banged up aspects that we've had did not allow that. And I think against Texas, this is the first time you're going to see Deion Walker really probably move a little bit around, because now you go Khalil Sanders, Josiah Hayes, Deion Walker, JJ Weaver. That front four right there in passing situations, specifically when you'd want to get pressure on the quarterback, that's a different animal. I think you're going to see a lot more of those types of mix and match formations, and I think that's where in this game against Texas, why I'm spending way too much time in my brain, probably to the death of me, talking myself into the fact that I think Kentucky, this is going to be an actual very good game.
There's the way to beat Texas is to get Quinn Ewers uncomfortable, the same way it is for Georgia. And to be honest, all of the good teams is make the quarterback do the things that he doesn't have to do on a weekly basis, like stress, fight through, have to move his spot, get his feet moving, test his footwork, test his decision making when he's running towards the sideline. And Ewers is honestly kind of a statue. He just kind of stands there sometimes, for better or worse. He's obviously mobile, but for some reason this year he just kind of ignores pressure a lot of times. And I know Texas fans get very frustrated by that. But we got Jackson Dart uncomfortable quickly. We got Carson Beck uncomfortable quickly with pressure, JJ, and some of the younger edge rushers that are dynamic, internal pressure, so you can't see over the middle of the field.
And we've got Matt, and now you've got Max back, which is a big difference in the secondary. When you've got a guy like that who is now roaming in the secondary, you've got that, and it's all it adds up a lot better. Like the numbers, yes, De'Aaron Jackson is a miss. That's not saying it. But Alex Safari is not a slouch, and he's a kid that's come in and he has the athleticism and speed to make plays that De'Aaron Jackson doesn't, especially in coverage.
He does. He's obviously Alex is a great player. He's not as sound, and De'Aaron is like an elite tackler.
Yes,
but Alex, obviously, there are traits and there are things to build off of. I mean, I don't know about you. Alfari is probably my favorite player since he was a freshman.
Alex,
just flying. Alex, I love Alex Alfari.
He's one of the top guys in TFLs, solo TFLs on the team. De'Aaron in the run game is a much different force. Where Alex is a big difference is his ability to read a play and his explosive. He's faster than De'Aaron is, right? And look, we're not knocking De'Aaron. This is just the difference. He was more of an explosive player because he's not gotten to the size that he probably needs to get for a linebacker. So he can hit holes differently. He can run players down in coverage, especially with some of the tight ends that Texas has. He's gonna be a good matchup on that. And De'Aaron's not the greatest in coverage. He's not bad, but he's not the greatest, right? I think that's where Alex can play in. And let's be honest, this Kentucky defense has not been 100% since Ole Miss. We have not had 100% of this defense since Ole Miss. And even then, we didn't have 100% of the team. This team...
have they been 100% at all this season?
I mean, outside of the guys that were out.
Outside of the preseason injuries, I guess. But Max didn't play on.
Yeah, so I think that this is one of only a couple games where you're going to see Kentucky just about damn near full strength on defense. And I think that's a big thing because when this team has been healthy on the defensive side of the ball, they're a top 10 defense. They have been nasty to play against. Now, the overall arching issue of this team is, can we score at all? You feel like you need this team to score on defense against Texas. Probably you got to find a touchdown on defense or special teams or both potentially, I think, in this game. I think if you want the offense, if you think the offense is going to go score 24, I think that's pushing it. I think you need the offense to score if the offense can score 10 to 14 and you can get another 10 because of special teams or defense, right? And that doesn't mean the defense has a score, but they force it. They force a turnover. Maybe the offense scores 17, their fingers quote, but the defense forced a turnover inside the red zone, right? And the offense just had to go 20 yards, that kind of a thing. Or you get a big return or something like that. They've got to manufacture points. I think they're going to come out gunning, though. Like the way Stoops sounded is like they're going to throw haymakers in this game. I feel like they know. I think the coaching staff also knows that if there's some way they could pull off Texas, that Louisville game is very winnable for them. That is a very winnable Louisville game for them.
I would be shocked if the coaching staff, like even on Truth Serum, if you ask the coaching staff percent chance of winning the Louisville game, if they said under 50%.
I agree.
Truth Serum, actually what they believe, not their blue sunglasses on, I still think they would say they have a better chance of winning than losing that game.
I agree. Look,
can we make the rule for a second since we brought them up?
Yeah, we can.
Oh my gosh, did you watch the game?
I have seen Kentucky football lose a lot of ways. I have never seen them lose that way. That was a special way to lose a game. And it was the dumbest coaching. Literally, Brom should be fired for how stupid that was.
He should put out a formal apology. An absolute disaster of coaching.
Number one, it's 4th and 11 or 4th down and 10 with 11 or 12 seconds left.
11 seconds, yeah.
I'm like, punt and go to overtime. Right? No, this moron tries to throw, and they had no timeouts left. So obviously they throw, but on 4th and 11, you throw a Hail Mary. Why are you throwing? You could have thrown a 25-yard out to the sidelines, and if you get it, or you throw a 15-yard over the middle, you could probably clock it. But like a Hail Mary, so there's 6 seconds left. I mean, it was all systems failure in that. You have 6 seconds left.
You think that's stupid? Just wait till the last 6 seconds. But what I thought they were going to do is the Hail Mary, but I thought the quarterback was just going to run around for 11 seconds. And
he could have. There was no pressure.
That's what I would have done.
They didn't rush anyone.
Run as long as possible and then throw it up to the end zone and pray.
There was no pressure. And then they do it, and there's 6 seconds left. Stanford still had a timeout, too. Like, that was the other thing. Stanford throws like a 6-yard out of bounds, 1 second left.
1 yard out. They throw it like behind the line of scrimmage. It wasn't that.
They gained like 5 yards. So yeah, they gained like 4 or 5 yards.
Maybe they had some blue line painted on, but
it would have been like they're throwing a Hail Mary. And this moron cornerback from Louisville, instead of just letting this guy go, shoves this guy down 10 seconds after the play's over.
It's not even the guy that tackles him. It's another guy runs into the play and shoves the guy over out of bounds.
And then it's a 57-yard field goal. And instead of that, like, it's a 57-yard field goal. You're in college. The chances of this guy hitting it's not high.
His career long was 52, and he's kicking a 57-yarder.
And then
what do they do?
Offsides.
Oh, and then the kid barely makes it too.
In fairness, he might have got it from 57, though.
It would have been close from 50.
It would have been close.
It would have been close. We would have been looking at a potential like crossbar situation.
It would have been very close for 57, but for 52, he cleared it very easily. It was not that was not that close for 57.
The offsides mattered.
The offside. Oh yeah. Well, I think mentally it matters, right? Like, I've kicked it from 52 before I can do this, right? Yeah. I have seen Kentucky blow games. I've seen Kentucky blow games on just luck, right? Just everything in the world ended. The luck went against you. I have never seen Kentucky lose a game on 3 straight stupid ass, like coach, player, mental breakdowns like I saw in that game.
It was hilarious. I mean, I was watching the game. I had clicked it to be the only game I had turned on. They were up 14 with like 6.5 minutes left, and they're throwing the ball.
I was watching
the ball on 3rd down.
I had it on ESPN on my laptop when I was at the women's game, and I was sitting next to Louisville media, and it was great.
Oh my goodness!
Dylan Ballard comes over and he starts talking to me, and I told him what's happened, and he just starts laughing, and you just see these people are just not happy. Like, my God.
Yeah, I'm just sitting there watching them play. It's just me in my apartment watching on my phone, and I'm just laughing so hard at Louisville and how they just continuously did the dumbest thing possible. There were so many options. So
The
many times.
dumbest.
They picked the worst option over and over and over again.
Like the absolute dumbest.
And then speaking of Louisville coaches, do you want to talk about the basketball coaches post game?
We'll talk a little bit more football and then we'll move on, because I think there's a lot of interesting things in football this weekend, especially it's already moved to the next week. Shocker. You had a lot of weird games this week. Oregon tried to do the exact same stupid thing that Louisville did. Who runs a fake field goal when you kick the field against the team that has had a hard time moving the ball? Who runs a fake
coordinator?
Good. They should have. Fake field goal. Fake field goal. How do you? Isn't that crazy? The number one Wisconsin did.
Yeah, they fired Phil Longo this morning.
Okay, but how crazy is it that the number one team in the country runs a fake field goal with a little over 2 minutes left? It wasn't like it was 4th and 1. It was 4th and 6 in a 3-point game against a team that has not moved the ball against you well.
So this is gonna be this is one of those like Shannon Dawson. If it would have worked, you would have loved it, because I understand the idea. It makes a little bit of sense, and I'm sure the computers tell you that getting a first down there is like infinitely better than kicking the field goal.
Sure, the game's over, but you've got Dylan, you've got Gabriel and James in your backfield, and you're gonna put it on the frickin' punter to do that. No.
Yeah, yes, you're correct. I'm trying to play devil's advocate of what was the thought, because
you cannot
in Louisville, what was the thought process? I can't even come up with it.
Jeff Brom's an idiot. He's one of the most overrated coaches in the division. I told people, Brom came in and everybody came out, and I told everybody, Stoops is going to own this guy. Nobody believed me. Everybody thought, oh, Brom's this, that. I'm like, first of all, he was at Purdue. That's a nothing school. And he made the Big Ten. Yeah, he made the Big Ten title game at like 8-4. Their schedule sucked, and they got absolutely boat raced in the Big Ten title game. Absolutely boat raced. They had one good win. They beat Ohio State in a year Ohio State wasn't that good, hung 60 on them, and they still went 8-4. I mean, okay, let's not go too crazy about that. But the fact that Oregon could have been the biggest donkey clowned on program on yesterday morning, if that didn't work, and DJ Uyunglele's little brother didn't bail them out with a pick on 2 plays later, that could have been an epic roast of a number one team.
It would have been hilarious. It also just would have made everything so insane in the Big Ten. Like the ACC and the SEC are having their own little, and actually the Big 12 now as well.
Now the ACC. The ACC is a lot easier of a. There's not as much craziness in the ACC now with some of the other things that have happened. I think it's only a 3-horse race there now.
Yeah, but the 3 horses, like there's not a thing that separates them, right? Did SMU get the second one? I missed the SMU score from this week. I don't know if they.
Yeah.
Is SMU still involved with Clemson and Miami, and like these teams don't.
Yeah, SMU. It's SMU, Clemson, Miami, and everybody else has 3 losses. So it's only a 3-horse race. Right?
They all have 1 loss, or does SMU have 2?
SMU has 1 loss. Clemson has 2. Miami has 1. But in conference, everybody has 1 loss. SMU is undefeated. And SMU ended up beating Duke by 1. Who they play? They beat Boston College by 10. They play Virginia and Cal. So you got to like SMU's chances to go 11-1 against the ACC title game.
Yeah. So who ends up?
Miami has Miami wins out there in the AC. Yeah, Miami wins out there in the ACC title game. But there's like this little, I'm pretty sure that that's the case because Clemson lost. So I don't think there's a way if Clemson even won out that they could jump Miami in the stand. I think it was whoever was the higher ranked.
That ends up being the tiebreaker.
Clemson, no, it's head-to-head losses. So Clemson lost to Louisville, Miami beat Clemson, or Miami beat Louisville, Clemson lost to Louisville. So that's where your head-to-head matchup comes into play.
Gotcha.
And the only thing, so if Miami wins out, Miami would face SMU, which that game might be 65-60 with those two teams. Also interesting that it's Miami's former offensive coordinator who's the head coach on there. SMU's got boatloads of money. I don't remember who told us about this and said, watch out, SMU is going to be is going to be a big powerhouse in the NIL era. Because I think someone said SMU has the most billionaires of any college in Division I football.
So it's like,
or it was millionaires. It was something crazy.
Yeah, it's literally if you look into the student body of SMU a little bit, it's only kids of oil company owners and like professional sports teams owners.
Yeah,
that is the student body. Is like you have to own something that people have heard of. I think is a prerequisite to getting into SMU. So yeah, they're kind of doing the same thing that BYU in basketball is doing, and a little bit in football, which is we had all of these super rich people that were like not doing a ton. Now that they can just pay everybody, what if we get them to give them all the money, and then we'll be good. And now SMU and BYU are competitive in different sports, and honestly, SMU basketball and BYU football are doing the same thing. Like
SMU's getting a big football is they're doing an expansion too, so their stadium's going to also, I don't know how many stadiums in the just kind of go, you got to know somebody kind of thing. I don't know how many NCAA stadiums have a president named on their stadium.
I admittedly don't know the names of many of the fields, but I
Gerald Ford Stadium. I don't know that many people that have that. So, it's going to be interesting. Also, like looking through, Texas kind of squeaks by against Arkansas. I've been saying all season, you got Kentucky's between one rival and another rival, and they have to beat that next day. Like you might catch them looking ahead a little bit to A&M going to Kyle Field because A&M's in the driver's seat to go to the SEC title game right now, which is nuts.
Yeah, it does not feel like A&M should be involved in the SEC title race. And
look at the draw, man.
Yeah, the conference or schedule disparity is a big old thing with the way that these conference championships are decided.
If Kentucky were to go and knock Texas off, they knock Texas out of the SEC title game. I think no matter. Actually, I think they do. Or it's going to be real close because if you look at the SEC standings, Texas and A&M both have one loss. All right. You got Georgia, Tennessee, and Alabama right behind them with two, and Ole Miss. So there's a big log jam. Right behind. So you got Georgia. So Georgia would jump if Texas lost. Georgia jumps Texas because of head to head. Who beat A&M in the SEC?
South Carolina.
Oh shit!
They play Auburn and Texas to finish the season.
If A&M, even if A&M lost, A&M's got to just win next week, and they're in the SEC championship game, right?
I don't know that that's for sure. I think they need to win this week.
No, that's what I'm saying. If they win this week,
yeah.
If they win this week,
I don't know that it's for sure though. I think that if they, you might be right. I don't know if it's for sure that they're in if they win this week.
They got Auburn.
Yeah.
They're only 2.5 point favorites, by the way, at Auburn, which that's not a give me. Auburn's playing a lot better now. That's not a give me.
Yeah, Auburn is good and just they hate to win football.
I got to tell you what I didn't like and I don't love is the fact that I saw an 11% chance for South Carolina to get into the playoffs. I just would want to. I'd hang myself. I could not. I could not.
South Carolina just went and they were like, you know what? What's the number one way that we can beat a bunch of teams that we're not as good as? They said, let's just force 1 million turnovers with a good edge rushing duo and run the ball. And they figured out how to run the ball and create a bunch of turnovers with an edge rushing duo. And
is Louisville still ranked for real?
I have no
There's
idea.
no way.
AP polls that have to be the thing that I care the least about.
Oh, no. No, okay. It's still showing a number by their name because they have this goes by college football playoff. They haven't updated. They don't do that till tomorrow. Or is it tonight? Do they go to Monday or is it Monday or Tuesday?
Well, it was Tuesday last week because it was before the Duke game.
It might be, yeah. It's been on Tuesday. Okay, so that's why they're not going to be ranked anymore. Like that. That's done. I was like, holy hell, no shot that they're ranked still. So if you look at the kind of like, just to kind of wrap up some of the games from last week that were kind of a little crazy. Obviously Texas really struggled against Arkansas, 20-10. That was not necessarily a great game. Quinn Ewers was 20-32 for 176 yards. Another I don't know if you saw this, but another epic way to lose. Boise State or a BYU losing to Kansas on a pooch punt from the quarterback. What a dummy.
I was excited to get to this game because I've been on the Mormon train, and then you saw that they were only a 2.5 favorite, and the alarm bell started going off. I was like, "What is going on?"
Kirk Herbstreit picked Kansas to win.
Yeah, it was that was like one of those weird like why is Vegas doing this? But the thing that's the most fun about this to me is that BYU is now no longer getting a bye as the winner of the Big 12 if they were to go by the AP poll. Boise State would officially get the bye because they are the higher ranked conference champion.
Oh,
There's no automatic qualifiers for conferences. It's just the 4 highest ranked champions and the 5th highest ranked automatically in. So as of right now, BYU would be, or not BYU, Boise would be the team with the bye, and BYU would be the automatic qualifier at large, like non-bye team. But there's like not a crazy world where Army and Boise could both go undefeated and win. They could both be 2 of the 4 highest if the Big 12 were to keep losing.
I mean, listen, if Army wins this week, they're going to jump up really high. We'll just put it that way. If Army wins this week. I mean, if Boise State were to lose, that would open the door for Tulane. I mean, here's the question. I mean, I guess this is an honest thing. If Tulane Army was to go undefeated, there's no way they're going to keep Army out because Army would have beaten Tulane and Army would have beaten Tulane and Notre Dame, right? So Army's going to get in. That would be amazing. That'd be a hell of an amazing story. That'd be an amazing story.
There is no singular game that I care more about this week than Army beating Notre Dame. Kentucky Texas is a lot of fun, but Army Notre Dame is must-see appointment television this weekend. At least, as long as it stays.
That'll be we'll talk some about it. We'll touch on the games this week. Obviously, Georgia beats Tennessee. Tennessee looked really good, jumped all over them. Georgia dominated the second half. Tennessee fans cried about a lot of dumb stuff.
Are they both playoff teams?
I don't think Tennessee's a playoff team. I don't think they're that good. I don't. I think Tennessee is a better. I think Tennessee is a marginally better Kentucky. I just do. I think both. Do what?
But the resume looks good.
Yeah, but I mean, like, look, Kentucky is depth away from some stuff, right? I get that. I'm not saying, but I think Tennessee is just a better Kentucky right now. Like they have a little bit better depth. They have a little bit better players at some key positions, and they've won their close games. And Kentucky hasn't. That to me, they're just a better version. Their offense stinks. Like against top teams, their offense is not good.
At the end of the day, do they not deserve to be rewarded for their results?
I think it just is going to depend on who's where. Look, if Boise State wins out and Army wins out, someone's going to be out, right? So you're going to have somebody who's going to get out that should have gotten in. And that's either going to be Ole Miss or Tennessee probably. And I think if you look at it, it's probably, if you go by the eye test, I don't know, because I mean, look, it all depends. Here's the thing, Ole Miss needs Kentucky to win these next 2 weeks because it makes them look really good. It makes them look way better. If Kentucky loses the next 2 weeks, because they're going to look at that.
Ole Miss needs Kentucky to win because if we beat Texas, Texas isn't making the playoff unless they win the SEC.
Nah, Texas still might get in because they have 2 losses.
But
so I think it's hard.
Resume. They've beat nobody.
I agree with that. Actually, I agree. Listen, I have no clue what's going on with the camera here.
I was so far in the left corner there for a second.
I agree. I think you're right in the aspect that if Texas was to lose and it came down to Tennessee and Texas, I think Tennessee should get in because they have the better resume. And you got to go head to head, right? Look, if Kentucky were to beat Texas and Ole Miss, and you got Texas, Ole Miss, and Tennessee, and they both play, all 3 play Kentucky, 2 of the 3 lost, you got to go with Tennessee. All right. I don't think Tennessee's necessarily better than those teams are, top to bottom. But if you look at resume, I think you're right. Objectively.
Yeah, Texas is in a very vulnerable position of they have no room for error. Like if they all end up with 2 losses, if you end up with the fun scenario of like Bama, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Georgia, Texas, all ending up with the same amount, A&M all ending up with like the same basic record, Texas will be the team that gets left out because of the resume. So that's they cannot afford a slip up. they simply can't.
The good call on my part. Florida beating LSU. That wasn't very popular by you that during the pregame show.
I went with you.
Yeah, it was begrudging.
I had to be convinced.
Okay.
I was. DJ Lagway, you were like, oh, but DJ Lagway. I was like, you know what? Yeah, DJ Lagway. And it turns out he's really good at football. So,
Colorado, man, I got to tell you what, not sold on Colorado either. They might get in the playoffs. I think Colorado's a team that probably gets smacked if they get there. Their strength of schedule is not very impressive either. You know, a lot of people are on.
Do you want to see Colorado in the playoff?
Do I want to?
Or would you rather them stay out because they're not as good?
If they win the Big 12, they're in. They're not getting in without it.
Yeah, but do you want them in? Because I think we both agree they are like a step down in talent from like the top, like the playoff teams. Like I don't think they're as good as most of the playoff teams.
I mean, let's be honest. Like, if you're one of the ACC or SEC teams and you got to get either BYU or Colorado, do you care?
I would rather play BYU. Oh, that's weird because BYU is.
I'd much rather play. I'd rather play Colorado.
Play for Travis. That's like the when Kentucky was an 8 seed and they were like, oh, Wichita, here you go, the team that's maybe not as good, but here's all these 5 stars and superstars, and they play like 5 stars and superstars for a game.
I'd rather probably play Colorado because on the defensive side of the ball, I don't think that they have as. I think BYU plays pretty good defense. Now let me rephrase this. If I had to go on the road and play either team, I'm picking Colorado.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I do not want to play the Mormons. No.
100% I'm picking Colorado.
Oh, my gosh. If BYU hosts and it starts at 11:30 Eastern time on that Saturday.
if you're someone like Miami or Penn State, Alabama, Indiana. Listen, that's the second all eyes on thing game. There's 2 games this week that are just intriguing as hell outside of the Kentucky game, and it's Army against Notre Dame, and it's Indiana versus Ohio State. And I swear to God, if Indiana finds a way to get to the playoffs, I might try and find a way to go because that could be really interesting to see.
Just don't get blown out, Indiana, and you're in.
It doesn't. No, they're in. They're in no matter what. They're in no matter what. They have a 98% chance of making the playoffs.
Yes, I agree. They probably are. But like, if you want to finish the conversation, because like if in the weird scenario, if BYU and Army were to both get in, like there would be some weird like, oh, Indiana that didn't play anybody, they finally played a good team, lost by 50 to Ohio. Like or
I
lost
mean,
by
if they lose
30.
by 50, that's
There
going to be
was
hard.
some
I
conversations
don't think
about
they're
the
going
two
to lose
loss
by
SEC
50,
teams
though.
getting in.
I did.
No, I
Listen,
don't either. But if they were to lose by 30, then you would have the two loss SEC versus lost by 30 and didn't play anybody else. There would be those conversations. A couple of the playoff committee members would think about that and vote by that. Like, but if you just don't get blown out, you're in easy.
And then also the game that my head said to pick was Arizona State to pick over Kansas State, and I didn't, and I was wrong, and I should have. And Arizona's got a shot. Arizona State's still on track. There's a head coach right there that's going to get a big time payday from a big time program is Dillingham. With what he's done that fast at Arizona State, man. But I got to tell you, there's a sneaky team out there. There's a sneaky team out there that's sneakily out there starting to play a lot better, and they've got an A in front of their name, and it ends in AMA, and they might just go get some folks. All of a sudden, that sneaky team with the A in front of it starting to look like that sneaky good team with an A in front of it at the right time.
The underdog story, the comeback story of real Alabama football.
Yeah. You know who I am tired of? I am getting a little tired of Kirby Smart's whining. All the time, whining. He seems like he whines about everything now. Just come on, Kirby, shut up.
There's a little whining going on with Kirby. I think he realizes that he has like a top 3 team and they might not make the playoff. And I think it's a little bit of like, oh crap, time to play some marketing, time to convince people.
All right, are you ready for this? I think Florida beats Ole Miss. I think Florida beats Ole Miss.
I will disagree.
I think Florida beats Ole Miss.
The Lagway against that defensive line doesn't look like nearly as good of a matchup.
Sure, but here's what I'm going to tell you. This is the week I think things get nuts. This is some of my picks. All right, I think Auburn beats A&M. All right, I think Arizona State beats BYU.
Where's that game at?
Arizona State. I think Minnesota scares the dog shit out of Penn State. I don't know how that goes. I think SMU, I'm going to flip a coin against Virginia. It's at Virginia. I'm going to flip a coin in that game. I think Florida at a noon game in the swamp. I like Florida a lot right now. Florida's playing with a lot of confidence, and that has a lot. Now Ole Miss is too, but I just feel like Ole Miss is going to do it. Obviously, you got Indiana and Ohio State. I'm going to tell you more about that game when we do the pregame show, but you're going to probably think I'm insane when I come to that one.
I'm trying to figure out what this parlay you're creating, what the value is here.
And I would take Kentucky. I would take Kentucky to cover. Now, if I bet $20 on that, what would I get?
How confident are we in all of these things?
Just say if I was going to put $20 on that, what would we get?
Well, let's get through. Do you want to talk about the women's game or something else while I try to find all of these individually?
Sure. Switch gears a little bit. Talk about obviously the women's team. Obviously, huge win against Louisville. First time in 7 years that we've beaten the Cardinals in basketball. I got to tell you though, it was fun. That was one of the most sloppy games of basketball I think I've ever seen. Neither team wanted to win through a lot of that matchup because it was crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. And I think that, a big part was,
did you think that the size and everything? Yeah. Did you think that the size and everything created havoc? That was my main takeaway, was the Louisville coach being like, no, no.
Oh yeah. When he walked into the thing and said, we gave the game away, and if we hit free throws, we win. I'm like, you guys didn't score a bucket in overtime.
Yeah, exactly. And it was when we were talking about how many minutes our girls played, that was the first thing I thought of is, and then they kicked butt in overtime with all of the starters playing 38 plus minutes during the game.
Yeah.
They ran through overtime, and it's like we saw in the Duke Kentucky game. The experienced seniors were out there healthy. Not that Louisville was not, but like could the freshmen have played 45 minutes and been playing good and dominated like in any real like sport level? Like that is the concern that you have, and they were still out there playing as good as they did in the beginning of the game and the 45th minute of overtime.
Yeah, it was crazy that he said that, and then he said the crowd had no factor, and the height didn't have factor.
How
He
was
just
the
sounded
crowd?
a little salty. He just sounded salty.
How was the crowd?
It was all right. I mean, I thought it was fine. It wasn't. It said it was sold out. I didn't see every seat filled.
Yeah.
I didn't. It's a different crowd than you would see for a men's game. I think it's just different. Some work to do, but it also had times where it got really, really loud. And I think that I definitely think, especially in overtime, it probably did play a little bit of a factor. It definitely probably helped Kentucky with fatigue and staying juiced up.
Yeah.
To say that the crowd had no factor, I mean, it got really. I mean, yeah, they missed free throws. It also got really loud for your free throws. And the height didn't play a factor when they literally couldn't do. I mean, sure. Were there times where they forced shots and they could have kicked it back out? Yes. I mean, but that's height playing a factor, and thinking it doesn't. I don't know. It was just so odd. But look, Louisville forced 24 turnovers. Kentucky forced 19. It was a very sloppy game. Every time like towards the end of the game, Kentucky had a chance to tie or take the lead, especially through the third, most of the fourth. It was kind of like turnover, bad shot, turnover, bad shot. And then Louisville would go back up, and then Kentucky would score to be Louisville. And you didn't think it would be good. And then Kentucky got a 2-point lead, and then it was turnover when they could have extended the lead, and Louisville didn't do much better. Louisville ties it. Yeah. Then Kentucky has the last shot and has a horrendous last play. But then in overtime, Louisville could do anything. They could not do anything in overtime. And they end up having the turnover that ends the game with a fast break. Lawrence gets a layup, and there you go. I think Kentucky, and I think Brooks knows that there's a lot of stuff to work on. There's a lot of things that they're going to keep working on from the team perspective. But at the same time, they have to they're it's 4 games in. They got stuff to work on. I think everybody does. So we'll see how that progression goes. And you want to see, obviously, clean up, because 24 turnovers is not what you want to see.
Yeah, it was definitely, 19 turnovers for Louisville. It was obvious that both teams are still trying to figure out exactly what they're doing on offense. I tweeted when Wall said the length had no effect. It either had an effect or you're not coaching a good offense, right? So it didn't look like a very clean game overall, but the same thing as the men's team, they won dirty, and it's the first time that we had seen Kenny Brooks win a game dirty. Not playing dirty, but like win a game that was dirty, and it's the first time that we've seen these players at Kentucky do the same thing and do it as part of this team instead of a team that we have watched. But
yeah, no, I agree with that. Obviously, they play tonight. I think they play Wofford tonight, I think.
No, it's Purdue Fort Wayne.
Oh, that's it. Purdue Fort Wayne. Yes. They did play Watford before, I think, right? Before. Yeah. So yeah, they play tonight. Quick turnaround, obviously. They're going to be favored by a lot. But look, it's good to see from both those perspectives. Kentucky's men's team plays tomorrow. So that's a big thing. So a lot of positives, a lot of things going on, and a lot more to talk about when we come back tomorrow.
Yeah, I found your 5-leg parlay. Auburn money line,
right.
Florida money line, Kentucky plus 20.5, Minnesota plus 12, Arizona State money line is $20 to win $991.58.
That seems like that would be a really interesting bet. We should do it.
Who's we? I'm happy to. Hey, you're welcome to do it.
Sounds like a great bet. Every team we get railroaded, probably. I'd probably lose. Every team would lose.
4-0 and Kentucky would lose by 45 is what would happen.
Yeah. Get there, Kentucky would have the one terrible game of the year and just get absolutely pummeled. It'd be like, great, guys.
All the upsets. Minnesota will beat Penn State, and Kentucky will lose by 50 in the 3:30 game to ruin your hopes and dreams.
It's phenomenal. Great. Thank you.
Either that or it'll be the opposite. Kentucky's the only one. Kentucky will win.
Kentucky will win, and everybody else will suck. Yeah.
No, Kentucky will lose by 1. So you don't even get to be that happy.
I'd take $20 on that. That'd be fine. I'd be happy with that.
Well, that's what I said. I bet a bunch of money on Georgia to win. I was like, I would pay this much for them to win the game. So, oh man.
So,
by the way,
all right, man.
My account on Kentucky to cover cashed. Thank you, Jackson Schultz. That's that. Betting my entire account on the Bengals money line did not come back, but I used a bonus bet, so I get to bet my account one more time.
There you go. All right. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll talk more Kentucky Lipscomb. And I think we get the first do we get the first injury report tomorrow? Or is that Wednesday? Wednesday, right?
Wednesday for football, yeah.
Yeah, Wednesday, yeah. All right. So we'll talk some basketball tomorrow. We'll be back. Appreciate Coach Pergram coming on. And tomorrow we have Stephen Peak from KSR coming on the show. So should be another fun one.
It's going to be exciting.
Yep.
Go Cats.
All right. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Bleed Blue Network podcast. We hope you enjoyed diving deep into the world of Kentucky sports with us. Don't forget to stay connected by following us on Twitter at BleedBNation. Your feedback means the world to us. So take a moment to leave a review. Not only does it help us improve, but it also helps others discover the show. Until next time, keep cheering, keep listening, and keep bleeding blue.